And there you go. So it's a little bit smaller. I mean, still will travel because of the propagation stuff we've talked about. We might find later that it's propagating too fast. Those are the kinds of settings that we'll wedge. So good enough. Like so. So click on this again so we don't lose our cache thing by accident. And let's go over to, let's make an output node. So turn this off. Put this here. Make this a light purple also. What do? Let's use a dop import, and let's get the simulation. And let's get the RBD thing, I forget what it's called. And we'll do create points to represent objects. So, oh, it's mad. It's mad because I didn't specify. Oh, I didn't actually point to the network itself. There we go. So, there we go. So those are the points that represent our RBD sim. You know, in a sense, a rigid body sim is a particle sim. It's just that the particles have collision hulls that have the shapes of the rigid pieces, and they have constraints. So let's put a file cache here. And we'll say file cache sim. We do want a frame range. We want to put it somewhere. Let's put it in our data area. So data slash sim slash version something. We'll use our sim one here. So copy that one, click in here, paste absolute references. Oh, we already put the backslash in. And then we'll just call it sim cache, doesn't really matter, dot the current frame dot bgo.sc. So what are we saving here? We're saving the points only. We're not saving the geometry. The points are very lightweight, as you can imagine. I'm gonna say save this to disk, and then I'll interrupt it. I don't want it to keep simming. Reload from disk, reload from geometry. You can see we have it now. We have it as far as we bothered to simulate this anyway. So that's pretty cool. Of course, again, we want our geometry on there. So let's get both our high-res geometry and our low-res geometry. And that existed back here on the sim when we had high-res and proxy. So grab the high-res by selecting that one there, putting it here. And then the low-res one will be, of course, the same. You see it hesitates every time it has to load and unload all those packed pieces. So this was proxy. And we can see that. Proxy, high-res. And high-res. There we go. So starting with the proxy, it's super easy. We did this in Rigids 1. All we need is that transform pieces again, because these have name attributes and the points have name attributes, and they both started in the same place because that's how they went into the simulation. So if they start in the same place, then these points are guaranteed to move them into the right place. So that's how we can reconstitute, using all our proxy stuff, onto those sim points. And you can see it's very fast. We can do the same, exact same thing with our high res. And now you can see if we look, pop. Now we have high res pieces in the right same exact positions. Again, we can just switch back and forth between these forever to really enjoy how much more detail we get out of having these high res pieces. Great. And there you go. So we'll put a note here that says out proxy, and we'll do the same thing over here. This will be nice because now that these will be cached going forward, we can always just look at these to see where our sim is. Specifically, I like to take the out proxy one, and let's just make, Okay, as I was gonna say, could put a geometry node here that will be a preview. It's just gonna point to that thing we just saw. As for all the crashes that I've been getting, it could be because I'm using what we call a daily build of Houdini. This is not like a production released build. This is just like the currently released. Every day there's a new version of Houdini if you want to use the most up-to-date one. And I figured I would want to use the most up-to-date one for this lesson because they just made some changes to the material fracture node I wanted to get. But I'm getting some crashes, so I don't know. At least it saves it in a temp directory. In fact, if this has been happening to you, you can find your temp directory. When that little message pops up, it tells you where it's saving your file every time it crashes. So I just keep reloading that file and continuing. Anyway, so copy the proxy here, and then in our preview, I'm just going to have a object merge. Oop, out of here. That's a basis curve. Object merge, and put it there. And now, get out of here. And now I can just have this whenever I ever want to see that. Sweet. So that's it for setting up the sim and setting up the constraints. Now we're going to talk about PDG, which is the cool pipeline stuff in Houdini that uses tops to set up. And we're going to use that to wedge our sim. We're going to try different glue values. We're going to try different propagation iterations. And we're going to automatically have it make a movie and everything for us to compare to. So let's go see what that looks like.